good, bad. I'm the guy with the gun.
Hello, folks. Welcome to another edition of Firing Line Radio Show. We are coming to you today on September 11th, the 20th anniversary of a major terrorist attack on this country. And we all, I'd like to remember where we were at that particular point in time. I have four special guests with me on this show. Well, actually, three special guests. I'm not special. Three guests on the show with me. I have John Barry. He's Chief Warrant Officer 4. I have Kenny White. Those of you who've known the shows, you've seen Kenny on there before. Kenny was a E3 with the Air Force. I have Scott Mcaffee, a local patriot and business owner. And we're going to talk about where we were at the time, the changes that have happened in the last 20 years, obviously current events, and what does that play in effect for Californians? What does that play in effect for patriots here? Is the world less safe than it was 20 years ago? And what can we do about that? So let's start off a little bit in reverse order, kind of like what has happened most recently, and then we'll start with what happened where we were September 11th, 2001. John Barry, we just had an attack. Everybody knows about it in Kabul, suicide bombers. A couple of bombs have gone off a couple weeks ago during the evacuation, or not, during the surrender of Afghanistan. And we lost 13 great people. So I'd like you to say a little bit about that.
Yeah, I'm just devastated. I cannot fathom how this catastrophe will unfold in the coming decades. I mean, I as a mobilized reservist, I spent 3 years of my life since 9/11 dealing with Afghanistan, whether being there or supporting the mission there. And I'm on the personal level, I'm just beyond livid at how President Biden threw away 3 years of my life, as well as the sacrifices that my family made while I was gone. And all that has just been thrown down the garbage disposal. But that pales in comparison to the humiliation we're having as a country for just abandoning the people who really are committing treason in the eyes of their Islamic brethren for helping us, the great Satan. And I mean, I hate to say it, I'm an intelligence officer and I'm very familiar with the Taliban. And, I can say the Taliban make the Nazis look civil. I mean, that's just brute force reality of what we're dealing with. And you just gotta pray for these people that they have a peaceful end, and they find rest in their faith, because it is just the catastrophe of what we're seeing is going to last forever. And the frustration is I'm not clear what it was for. I think it's because Joe Biden just wanted to say he brought all the troops home by 9/11.
Or he didn't bring them all home.
Right. And well, I think that was his short-sighted political goal. And that's what I'm trying to reconcile. There was no better good for this humiliation. It was just for a short-term political talking point. And that kind of makes it even more frustrating for all the things we've given over there as a nation. I mean, we gave away a lot of blood and treasure, and it's all for the
China.
President saw an advantage. Yeah.
So the members that we lost.
Yeah, I'm just floored, because my time in Iraq and Afghanistan, usually the casualties were these beautiful young kids who often had 2 and 3 children themselves, and they were usually like in their late teens, early 20s, starting off family. They had the world by the tail. They were contributing to their country, and just the absolute loss and complete waste of these 13 young kids. I mean, I'm 56, I've been in 38 years. So, I mean, it's kind of easy for me, but when you look at these young kids who were just lost for no reason, I mean, I just can't stomach that.
Were you going to read them?
Oh, sure. I'm sorry. I thought that I'd end the show. Yeah, happy. It is. Thank you for the honor of reading these kids' names. First, there are 13 of them. Sergeant Johnny Rosario Picardo from Lawrence, Massachusetts. And then one of our Californians, Sergeant Nicole G. from Sacramento. Staff Sergeant Darren Hoover from Salt Lake City, Corporal Hunter Lopez from Indio, another Californian, Corporal Dagan Page from Omaha, Corporal Humberto Sanchez from Longsport, Indiana, Lance Corporal David Espinoza from Rio Bravo, Texas, Lance Corporal Jared Schmitz from St. Charles, Missouri, Lance Corporal Riley McCullum from Jackson, Wyoming, and closer to home, Lance Corporal Dylan Marola from Rancho Cucamonga. And then the one who we've seen on the news, Lance Corporal Kareem Nakui from Norco, and Navy Corpsman Maxton Soviak from Berlin Heights, Ohio. And the Army person was Staff Sergeant Ryan Noose from Corrigan, Tennessee. And I mean, scroll through these pictures, these beautiful young kids. I mean, it's just heartbreaking to see the loss, and especially a number of Californians. I know some have been in the news and been with their family, and they wanted to serve their country. And what a waste of life. These beautiful young kids. It's just devastating.
Absolutely. And this is something, you know, every news pundit has been out there talking about this, that the ridiculousness of what's gone on in Afghanistan. We'll touch on that a little bit later, but I just want to start the show by giving some honor to those who have fallen and the last people who fell in Afghanistan. Service members. We all know there's going to be Christians and people who worked with the military left in Afghanistan that will continue to fall, given what Joe Biden has done and has allowed the enemy to continue to grow and to prosper under his reign. So let me jump back 20 years from today. Just like, you know, when we were growing up, somebody always said, "Where were you when Kennedy was assassinated?" That was the marker of our parents' age. Our marker of our age was 9/11. So I'm going to start with Scott. Scott Mcaffee here, local business owner, great patriot. Scott, where were you on 20 years ago today?
I was home getting ready to go to work, and I remember getting a call from my sister-in-law saying, "Hey, you need to turn on the news. There's something really bad going on." So turned on and saw, one of the towers had been hit, saw the smoke pouring out, and it's like, okay, well, seemed like, a tragedy, but I didn't really know what to make of it. As time unfolded, obviously, we realized there's a lot going on. It almost at one point seemed like, wow, is this the end of the world? Like, what the hell is going on here? And it was a surreal moment, a very scary moment, especially because, like, how many of these planes are going to keep hitting and who's actually behind this? So I was baffled, kind of almost, it was a surreal moment, very surreal moment, like something out of a movie is what you were watching. And eventually when you saw those buildings coming down, realized like, wow, I have no idea how many people are in those buildings, but hundreds, maybe thousands didn't, none of us knew exactly what was going on. But that was sort of the beginning of it. And then obviously we're all glued to the TV. We're trying to get information. Things are sort of kind of come into place, like who might be responsible for this. But just, it was a feeling of shock, obviously. And for me, I think it was also the beginning of kind of a political transformation for myself. I voted for Al Gore. Actually, I was a Democrat prior to 9/11, strange as it may sound. But I think that at that point, I saw how Bush handled the situation. I liked his initial response to it. And I was glad that he was in office, because at that point in our nation's history, we needed somebody strong, somebody who said the right things, because we were all looking for answers, and we're looking to the head of our nation to give us those answers. And I thought he handled that well. So, and at that point, you're trying to figure out what exactly happened. And then once you actually realized and can wrap your brain around what happened, I wanted revenge. I wanted the world to know that there was going to be a price to pay. We want to identify who and what is responsible for this and make them pay to the fullest extent, and hopefully prevent anything like this from ever happening again. So it was, for me, kind of the beginning of a personal transformation. And obviously we're still living through the ramifications of this. And, on the one hand, I liked Bush's initial response, but I didn't like where he went after that. I mean, he didn't secure the border. To me, that was the time to secure our nation's border, right? I mean, what better
Every
time to
day,
do it? You would
every
have had
every day is the day we should secure our nation's border. We don't have to
True.
wait for that every single
True.
day.
But I would say that the mood of the country, you would have had bipartisan support to do it, because everybody, this was the one time when we came together as a country, the
Yeah.
one time where, Democrats and
20
Republicans
seconds.
came together on the Capitol steps. They sang the national anthem, and it was just a beautiful. I mean, there were flags on everybody's cars.
I think it's the
So
last
I've
time
never
that
seen
I
this-
think that's
that
the last
unity.
time that the Democrats actually sang the national anthem. Folks, this is Philip Naiman, Firing Line Radio Show. We'll be back after this in just a minute.
Yeah.
4, 5.
Yeah. Hey, Phil, I'm sorry. I thought I was going to read it at the end of the show. So
We're good.
So
We're good.
so Dan can edit out the ums and uhs. Okay.
Well, that would be extra work for
Yeah,
Dan. Dan, do you
that's
feel
gonna
like doing that?
I missed my cue there. So
I was kind of trying to bring it up gingerly.
yeah. So that's a lot of dead air time because you can edit out those pregnant pauses.
Who's
That's what
who's
Dan can do.
outside? Somebody there was.
Yeah, somebody had a trash truck rolling by there.
That
Yeah,
would
that
be
was
me.
good. Wasn't
So,
me.
just hit your mute button. If you hear a noise like that coming
Oh,
up again,
duh.
hit your
Yeah.
mute button. Yeah.
Thank you, Qui-Gon Jinn. Yeah.
All right,
Ready?
we're ready.
Part 2.
All right, you primitive screwheads, listen up. See this? This is my boomstick.
Hey, folks, welcome back to Boomstick Radio. This is September 11th, and we're talking about the things of September 11th. And one of the things that I think we all came away with was, are we prepared? Are we prepared to face the enemy? That's the number one lesson of September 11th. And are you prepared? Well, whether you are or not, you head on down to Bullseye Sports Guns and Ammo in Riverside between Arlington and Central. Go talk to Vince, because if you have not armed yourself for protection or recreation, well, shame on you, but really for protection, because you are the first responder. So given where we are, given the fact that 77,000 felons have been released in the state of California due to Gavin Newsom, we are less safe. We're less safe internationally. We're less safe domestically. So folks, it's up to you. Head on down to Bullseye Sports Guns and Ammo in Riverside. If you've never bought a firearm before, let them know. They'll walk you through the process. They'll give you advice on training, everything that you need. That's Bullseye Sports Guns and Ammo in Riverside, 951-823-0211, 951-823-0211. Excellent store. Head on down there. Say hi to everybody. Folks, we're talking about obviously the 20th anniversary of the biggest terrorist attack in the United States so far. And we're just kind of saying, how did that affect us all individually? I just talked with Scott, it was kind of a game changer for him. And I think that's true for a lot of people. We saw more flags on cars, right? The Democrats were singing the national anthem. But we'll never forget turned into, what are you talking about, right? It all faded over time. And then we allowed, we'll talk about what's gone on in Afghanistan and all the way throughout the 20 years, not just the last 2 weeks. Kenny, where were you in 2001?
Well, let me give a little front story to that.
We only have an hour.
Okay, then let me move really quick about it. From about 1997 to early 1999, I was in a long distance relationship, and that person was in Sanford, Maine. I'm still here in California. So I would, once every 3 months, enjoy a 4-day weekend by flying from Los Angeles International to Boston Logan International Airport, and my partner would pick me up. Well, as we know, LDRs don't last. But now I'm in a new relationship on 9/11, and that person called me just like, McAfee was saying. My phone rang, and they said, turn on your TV. I turn on my TV. Me and that person would go to movies every Friday. That was just something we did in our dating process. And so I'm looking at the TV, and I see the plane hit the building and all of that. And I say to her, wow, when does that movie come out? And she said, Kenny, that's not a movie. And at that same moment, the second plane hit the tower. Now, at that moment, the media was trying to figure out where were these planes coming from, where were they going, what's going on. And I literally finished the reporter's words. I said that plane was due to land at LAX at 1:15 p.m. And they were like, how did you know? I'm like, I used to fly that plane every 3 months. And so I haven't flown since then until like a month ago. And ironically, two of my boys would join the Marine Corps exactly because of 9/11 and the patriotism in their heart. So yeah, 9/11 has a hell of a meaning to me. When your community, because that's who I am, and I guess when times of trouble pop up, you all can relate to that. Your community will show you who you are to them. Everybody in my neighborhood was at my house with their kids, and we were just basically trying to figure out how to get the kids food, because I basically told everybody, go nowhere. We're not leaving because this isn't done. I'm sure you guys, realize that, especially you, John, that you're looking at that and you're going, this ain't over. When that second plane hit, I'm like, nobody go anywhere. And that's what I remember the most distinct about it, is because like McAfee said, where does this end? And it on September 11th itself, that day, it didn't feel like it was ever going to end. I expected trucks of marauders to just jump out in our communities and start blasting. That was my next, guess about 9/11. It was a very terrible day.
John, how about you?
Yeah, I remember 9/11 was a Tuesday, and I remember that because I could sleep in because I was then a reporter with the Press Enterprise, and I was covering the Moreno Valley City Council. So I get a call from my then girlfriend who says, have you heard out of your reserve unit yet? I said, boy, that's a strange question to wake up. Turn on the TV, which I did. I saw the second tower fell, and I knew my life had changed from that moment. So a whole whirlwind started for me. At the Press Enterprise, we went into kind of a terror organization covering all things 9/11. And I was then a newly hatched warrant officer, and I just learned Arabic from the Defense Language Institute in Monterey, California. And so October 2nd, 2001 was the day I turned 37, the day I proposed, and the day I got called up to active duty. So yeah, life did change, and it's changed ever since. Spent 2 years on active duty, and then I was mobilized again in 2011 when I actually went to both Iraq and Afghanistan.
I remember that. You were part of the Tea Party at that time.
Mm-hmm. So Phil, can we flip the tables on you and ask you where you were?
I was on Victoria Avenue in Riverside, driving to work. I worked at Smith Barney at the time in Riverside, and heard it on the news. And I heard that a plane had hit the tower, and I'd been in that tower before when I worked with Merrill Lynch. We had offices there, and I'd been in those buildings, which lots of people did, but not lots of people on the West Coast have been in there.
Yeah.
But I just knew something was wrong. I knew it wasn't an accident. I didn't know why. And then I got into work, and we're downtown Riverside, and one of the taller buildings there, and we see another tower gets hit, and we're like, they shut everything down. The stock market closed, and everybody went home. At that time, still to this day, I don't have a television, so I had to go to one of my friends' houses and see the news on TV. We didn't have the streaming news services that we have now, right? Mm-hmm. So, and that's where I saw the video for the first time, and it's like, whoa. I knew we were at war, and I just hoped we would have what it took to win that war, because we were attacked, and we were attacked cowardly.
They took us cold. I mean, declaration of war is something that all civilized nations kind of, expect or respect, not these cats.
Well, okay, so I know that some of you have some background in the Islamic warfare, like Scott has researched it. John, obviously, as the intelligence service. Kenny, what you don't understand is, why did they pick 9/11?
Well, I'd like to know, because I do have some exposure to the radical Islamics in the Republic of the Philippines. That's who we dealt with. We were pushing the New People's Army all the way back down to the Luzon. But yeah, what is the significance of 9/11?
It rolls back to the gates of Vienna. Is that what you're going to say?
Bingo.
Yeah. John, I'll let you take it.
Yeah. So there's actually been two massive Islamic crusades into Europe over history, right? The first one what, 732 ended.
Battle of Tours.
Tours, France. Charles Martel came down and put the hammer on that, and that kind of since then.
And Holger Dansk.
Right.
Are y'all speaking English or what's going on here?
Just a 5-minute history lesson.
Hang on one second, John. Here's the thing. In the Islamic cultures, in the Islamic cultures, somebody reacts to something 20 years later, they say, why did you respond so quickly, right? Nothing ever goes down. This is a war from 632 AD ongoing. They have never stopped. The only time in Islam that you can sue for peace is either if you win or if you have to renegotiate and rearm. If you need a break because you're losing, you can cause a peace. Otherwise, it's full blown. So what has happened is in 732, they were beaten back out of France. Then they came back around the other way, and they took Constantinople. They took Hungary. They were on the gates of Vienna in...
is it 1683?
1683, thank you.
Yeah.
In 1492, they took Constantinople. America was discovered. Columbus flew out or sailed off the side of the earth because they could no longer go east into the trading lands because the Islamic terror and the caravans were always being raided. So everything, all the market stuff that was opened up under Marco Polo was shut down. So there were no more land routes unless you had to go and deal with the Ottoman Empire. So that's why they said, let's just see something on the other side of the earth. They took that chance, right? That's how bad things were. 1683 was the gates of Vienna were finally defended, and that tide of Islamism was pushed back.
Right. To delve onto that a touch more is that's the theory of why bin Laden picked 9/11, because that's the day the siege of Vienna was broken. So the theory is by attacking the towers on September 11th, this was signaling the beginning of the Third Crusade. You cannot underestimate among terrorists how important symbolism is.
We'll be right back after this, folks. Thank you very much for that, John. Philip Naiman, go to our gab.com/Firing Line Radio. We'll be right back after this.
Kenny, your microphone's still real hot.
Really? Yeah. Let me bring it down some more. Now that I know how.
Go to 20. See. Go to 20 on that, Kenny.
Go to 20? Okay. On it. Let me get in there right now. I'm gonna keep talking till it
Are you on a Yeti mic, Blue Yeti mic?
No, I'm on a Samsung.
Oh, okay.
Okay, what do you guys think about that?
You're hot.
Still real hot. It's not coming down.
What? What about that?
Because you're overmodulating.
What about that?
No changes.
I wish I could send you a picture. It says volume mixer, headphones, and mic for Samsung satellite, and I pulled all the bars down. Let me see. Okay, let's try this. How about that?
Place. No, nothing's changed.
What about that?
No.
Anybody? Can you hear me?
I hear
you loud. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I pull down. Let me go down.
That must not be the right setting place.
Is this something to the computer itself and not?
Yeah, I'm on a Hewlett Packard, and okay. I right clicked, and it's got those little pictures of the mic and all that.
You're doing it right, I think.
Yeah. Sorry, guys.
All right.
I'll talk real low. How's that?
Go to Barry White mode.
Okay, I'll go to Barry White mode.
Yeah, that's perfect.
All the ladies will be like, "What's going on that show today, man?"
Why don't you always talk like that?
I know. Very rarely, but I know what you're saying.
Radio show on the Barry White mode, hey baby. I'm not always out of bed at 1 o'clock, but when I am.
So how's that, guys? Is it?
It hasn't changed. No, it's real loud still.
I'll look into. Let me see. Hold on. Audio. Let me try audio on this. Oh, look at that. Watch this, guys. Watch this. No, see, Zoom. Don't laugh at me, Phil. Hold on. Wait a minute. Let me see. It looks like the Zoom has its own input.
Oh.
But I can't get the damn thing to slide. Hold on. Okay, here we go. Ready? Watch this, guys. I bet it's going to get better.
You disappeared. Oh, yeah. Keep talking.
Keep
Keep talking.
Kenny.
Test,
Can you hear-
test. Is that, hold on. Okay, hold on. No.
Yeah.
Oh, watch this.
That does sound better.
Hold on. How is this, guys?
Now go to Barry White mode.
How's this, guys?
Oh
Does that
yeah.
sound a lot better?
Hey,
Now
that works
you're-
for me.
Well, now you're loud again. But when you, I guess, yeah, when you shout in the mic, it's gonna.
Okay, but how about that? Is that
That sounds
better?
good.
Okay.
That's much better. Yeah.
Awesome.
Learning curve, brothers. I mean, I was working like John told me on the Hewlett Packard sound stuff, but Zoom has its own.
Didn't know that.
Yeah, I just changed it on Zoom. There we go.
Darn Zoom.
So everything's all right, y'all. We good.
Thank you, Barry.
It's feeling you too much, I swear.
Kenny White,
All right.
Barry White. Ah.
Oh, well, watch this. There is no coincidence to that. There is an actual DNA connection.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
There was, watch this. There's three of us. There was Brian White, there was Barry White, and yours truly, Baron White. My middle name is Baron because our family had this thing. They just love to put the B in front of the white. It just, you don't see the similarity? Come on, look, take a look.
Dude, if I had that voice, that's all I would ever say.
But see,
I'd
I
only
like
speak in
doing
that
because
voice.
then nobody understands that I'm Kenny White. They go around thinking that I'm Barry White.
They wouldn't care if you're Kenny
"No, I
White."
didn't sing no song. I ain't trying to do that. I'm me. So, okay, guys, tell me the volume's better. Is that a lot better?
It's
think so.
yeah, it's a bit better. Yeah. We're not
Learning curve.
when you start shouting, it comes over loud though. But
Oh yeah, I got to stop being excited. And you know what? Let me tell you guys something. Do not shake Ed Hoffman's hand. I did not know that.
You will die.
That man's hands are made of granite. Good Lord.
He's a arm wrestling champion.
He's a scrapper. Yeah.
Really?
I'm like, son, and I ain't no little man. I'm sitting there, I'm used to shaking the guy's hand and watching his whole body shake, right? Ed Hoffman shook my hand yesterday and it hurt.
hands broken still.
I got a great story about Pedro Guerrero in that. That was funny. See that guy crying. All right, guys, let's pick it up here.
Segment 3.
Spartans, lay down your weapons! Come and get them!
Hey, folks, welcome back to Firing Line Radio Show. This is Philip Naiman. Hope you're having a great Saturday. We are talking about September 11th, our 20-year anniversary. And I think today is actually the day that the Afghanistan Taliban are swearing in they're doing a victory lap, right? These guys are out there, they're doing a victory lap. And frankly, their optics, their marketing team is brilliant compared to what we have going on in Washington, right? The fact that they took our uniforms that we left them, and we'll go through the entire count again of what we left them. They took our uniforms, their Islamic flag, and staged a photo to copy Iwo Jima. Now, is that offensive? Yes. Was it brilliant on their end? Yes. And what did we do in response? We gave them more stuff, right? We gave them more time. We gave them more airplanes. We gave them more ammunition. We don't even know how many millions of rounds they actually left back there. But then we look at what we have going on in Washington with the IOTAs, the incompetent of the United States. Joe Biden just phoning it in. He can't even finish we know this. It's disgusting to see how non-represented we are in America at this particular time, how we have completely caved in Afghanistan. 20 years of blood, sweat, and treasure and lives changed eternally because of loss of limb and damage that have been caused like that. All of that is down the tubes because of the way this was handled. Scott, why don't you tell us a little bit about how your view of the last 20 years of what's gone on in Afghanistan?
Well, or even like you're talking about recent events. I mean, when you talk about, by the way, I'll concede that I am the least qualified of anybody on this panel because I have no military experience. But I think that me having no military experience, I could have done a better job of this pullout than what we just did. As a matter of fact, if you came to me and said, Scott, I want you to be in charge of the Afghanistan pullout, and I want you to screw this up as badly as you possibly could. I don't even think I could have done this bad of a job if I tried deliberately. One thing I did want to mention is
let's change that parameter. Not that you want to screw it up for America, but if you wanted to make it as good as it could be for somebody else, what would you do?
well, I'd probably leave them, I don't know, what is it, $90 billion worth of equipment. You know, and it's funny because I guess they're our ally now. Didn't you know that, Phil? The Taliban are our allies. I'm hearing that kind of spin on things like, you know, we're going to be working with them, right? And are we going to give them money too? I'm not really sure where this is going.
We are working with them. We're working with them to identify all the people left in Afghanistan that worked with us, all the Christians that are there, giving them biometrics so they can find them and kill them. That's how our government is working with the Taliban.
Sure. Well,
and here's some guns to do it with.
Well, how is it, and one of the most offensive things to me, and it drives me nuts when I think about it, how is it that we can't evacuate the 100, 200, I don't know, is it 1,000? I don't know how many Americans are left there. I have no idea. I don't know. But how is it that we can't get them out, but we're bringing in tens of thousands of Afghans? And who's paying for all of that? I mean, who's paying for their housing, their food, their medical care, education of their kids?
Let me tell you exactly who's paying for that. Exactly who's paying for that. So Biden said $6.5 billion to relocate 95,000 Afghans. That's $68,000 per person. So let me ask you this, Scott, when you bought your first house, were you given 70 grand by the government as a down payment?
No, I certainly wasn't. And by the way, I did find it interesting that I've seen reports that they're all being resettled into red states like Texas, you know, swing states, Wisconsin, Georgia, right?
Florida.
And I would say bring them all to California. Honestly, we couldn't screw this state up any worse. I'd take them all over here, you know, but this is a very strategic and deliberate thing that they're doing. So I can't imagine how we can bring these people in. We have no idea who they are. Culturally, we have nothing in common with them. They have no job or skills that we really need over here. We don't need any more people legally or illegally at this point. So, but the fact we left people behind and yet we somehow can manage to airlift tens, whatever the number is, thousands of these Afghan people is terrible. It drives you crazy. And obviously, what are we doing? We're changing the demographics of our nation, right? I mean, that's kind of what this is. It's deliberate change of the demographics of this country, whether
that's what I'm saying. We have to change our parameters. When you're dealing with these liberals and these progressives and these people that absolutely do not think they don't care about what's going on in America. They want things they want to destroy what we're looking at. And the problem is, we think of things as, hey, I want private property. I want to do whatever I want to do and nobody bug me and I won't bug you, you know, move along, get along kind of a ideology. That's not their ideology. So when you look at it from our framework, Scott, of, hey, I want to build a business, I want to provide for my family, this doesn't make any sense. When you look at it from their framework of, I want to fundamentally change the United States, how can I weaken this country globally? How can I change our voting patterns? This is a win-win-win-win for everybody who is an enemy of the United States. And you look at what's going on now with China stepping into Afghanistan. We created a giant void, right? And you think, well, how did this happen? Is this just something that happened this month, this week, 2 weeks ago? Or is this something that was set up back in 2008, 2009? And maybe those meetings that Hunter Biden was having with China in 2014 and 2015, when Joe Biden was the liaison, Ukraine and China. Is that not right? Where Joe Biden was liaison? And so he's having these meetings with these people. At the same time, we then take, Obama made this deal for, here's your 5 best players that we have in Gitmo. Number one, they should have been killed, but five people in Gitmo, we're going to release them to you. Hey, do you have any deserter transvestites we could get for 5 of your best terrorists? Oh, you do? You have one? Well, we'll take that. Hey, we'll take one of those and give you 5 main players. 4 of those main players are actually running the army and killing people. One of them is running a government portion in Afghanistan. They all went back into the field. They all did all that. And Obama allowed that to happen at the same time he does the Iranian deal. We don't even know how much cash were on those pallets. $150 billion in cash. Can you count that high? How does anybody know what the weight factor is? A C-130 can only carry so much weight. How many planes does it take for $130 billion in $100 bills?
A lot.
Really, that we're talking tonnage. This was set up. Afghanistan was a token given up because of what these guys' total agenda is. We let a horrible person into the presidency, Barack Hussein Obama and Joe Biden. We had them elected twice. In that 8 years, we are living now with the deals that they made during that time frame. We have a stronger Iran. Iran just came out and said, hey, by the way, we're going fully nuclear and there's nothing you can do about it, right? China is stronger. They're going to step into Afghanistan. How many of you want to buy Taiwanese real estate right now? Right? You know, I do portfolio management. I took everybody out of Southeast Asia. You know, my international has no China, has no Taiwan. Things are going to get screwy out there. So, you know, this was all done by design, and we're always playing catch up. We think, oh my gosh, look what happened. We're reactive. No, this was 20 years ago was planned. 8 years ago was implemented. We're seeing the results now.
Yeah.
And that's why, as conservatives and Republicans, we always are behind the 8 ball because we don't deal treacherously. These people are snakes. They've always been snakes. That's the way that they operate. And until we realize that and remove them from power, we're going to be losing our rights, losing our freedoms, losing our private property, and eventually losing our lives. So that's my happy thought for the day.
Well, thanks, Phil, for cheering us all up.
Let's go get a donut and just die of heart disease.
Yes. You know, I have my own vision of what the Afghan repel, and, you know, I call it a repel if it's done right. I have my own vision of what that would have looked like if President Donald J. Trump was in office. What I see is this. He would have made, you know, being the glitz and glamour guy he is, he would have made a big show of putting the Americans on that plane first. They'd have went on first, and he would have made a show of it. I almost imagine he'd have had cheeseburgers and sodas waiting for him on the inside of the plane, too. And then our supporters and other refugees would have been put on the plane. And I also suspect he would have probably been smoking some of the biggest leaders of the Taliban as we waved bye-bye. That's the exit I see President Donald J. Trump giving us. This thing that Biden has done, you know, I don't talk about it very often, but we sent 2 boys into the Marine Corps and we got 1 back. One of my sons served in Fallujah. To see this man doing what he's doing, and Phil, I know you may have seen my video. I made a video almost a year ago that clearly said Joe Biden will go too far. Joe Biden has gone too far. I made that video a year ago saying how he would abuse our military and our nation.
Let's
and
pick
he's
it up.
doing it.
Let's pick it up on the other
Now,
side
on
of
the eve
this.
of 9/11, because he's part of the New World Order cabal, he's said
Kenny, we
as
got to
much.
pick it up on the next.
Okay.
But we'll be right back, folks. Sorry about that. We'll be right back, Kenny. Pick that up.
All right. So Phil, as we're 2 things I could have, that's kind of a different perspective. I went to the War College and we talked about future war, and what we're seeing in Afghanistan is we're no longer in that. We're into more of these World War II style battles. That'll further cheer up the audience. But if I could like close toward the end, toward a call to action.
Yep.
Toward so I don't know if you want to cue me on that, but that might be a way to however you want me to get that in.
You want to pick this up, Kenny, with a few more seconds of what you were closing with, and then John, I'll cut straight to you.
Okay, so I'll hit both topics.
Yep.
Okay.
And then, Phil, the only other thing I would say, and this will be really short, is that I did go to a service for one of the Marines in Rancho, talking about Dylan Marola. And I'll share like 1 minute worth of like what that was like to be there.
All right. So I'm going to go
If you want.
Kenny, you, and then John, you'll have the rest of the segment.
Okay.
All right, Dan.
All right. Away we go.
Yes. Great hunter. Yes. Fine figure of a man. Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
That is all you need to know for now.
Hey folks, welcome back to Firing Line Radio Show. Normally I like to have a lot of fun and just talk great stuff, but you know, this is a somber time for us, 20-year anniversary of 9/11. We're recording this on Thursday. You know, obviously you're hearing this on Saturday, so hopefully nothing has happened between the day we're recording and the day you're hearing this. Kenny, I wanted to cut back to you at the last section there. You were making one final point, and if I could give it back to you there.
Yeah, I'll pick up right where it was. And, you know, what Joe Biden has done is, as I said on another show earlier, this is a game of psychological war. They want us to embrace the New World Order. They're so tired of patriotic Americans waving their flags and remembering 9/11 that all of this that he's done with Afghanistan was basically shoving it in America's face. They're inaugurating themselves on 9/11. Joe Biden kicks out all the Republicans from the military cabinet positions and all of that. This is a global changing of the game. And I'll close with this one thought. Osama bin Laden was 44 years old on the day of 9/11. With everything that Joe Biden has done right now, our great-grandchildren in the year 2065 will be dealing with the Osama bin Laden that Joe Biden made today.
Scott?
So I did want to share one thing. My wife pulled up, and I'm not on Facebook. My wife is on Facebook and saw that there was an area in Rancho Cucamonga. They had a memorial service for the young Marine, 20-year-old Dylan Marola, who was killed. And I thought, you know, we need to go to this. We need to go to this. That's the least I can do as a private citizen, is attend a service for this young man that was held in a local park. So we drove over, and got to tell you, I mean, it kind of blew me away. There were thousands of people out there. I mean, we had a hard time even finding a parking spot. So we finally made it over to the area, the park, where they had the family of this young Marine there. So they had people speaking. His mom spoke. Several of the people from the military who knew him spoke. A teacher, because this guy's just out of high school. When you think about it, he's only 20 years old. One of his teachers spoke. And I think, you know, while it was a very powerful event, there was a part of me that all I could think of was, this shouldn't have happened. This was unnecessary. It didn't need to happen. And I almost wanted to scream it out at the top of my lungs. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to do that out of respect for the service, but that's what I thought, and that's what I felt at the time. And that's how I still feel. So I just at least wanted to share that with you.
So where do we go from here, John?
Yeah, great. Thanks for asking. We're seeing the immediate tragedy on television, not to mention a generation of Afghans who grew up in freedom are now being plunged into a life of Islamic tyranny. Okay, that's the immediate, plus everything we're seeing on television. Okay, the future tragedy of this is going to play out for generation, and not just because of the weapons that we gave away, but how world stability has been shattered. Okay, so we were the people that gave the world the stability it needed, not to deteriorate into constant warfare. Well, that's been changed now. And because we gave away the farm and surrendered, I mean, as Phil mentioned, Taipei, but it's going to play across the world, because this is going to energize. Okay, I'll go back. In 2018, I went to the War College as a reservist, the reservist version of the War College. You studied world threats, future war.
And gender studies?
No, that wasn't there yet, because Trump was still president when I was there. So fortunately, we were spared that. But great school. People you see on the news were the people who will be our guest lecturers. But future warfare is also going to change. And not to depress you, but people really need to understand that we are no longer safe in the homeland. War is not somewhere over there. It's now over here. And the reason I say that is, one, because of Afghanistan and Joe Biden, we have energized the likely suspects: Iran, North Korea, China, and Russia. but also because of technology, things like hypersonic weapons, artificial intelligence. Now the whole world is a battleground, right? We can no longer hide behind our two oceans. So what we've been seeing since 9/11 is what we called COIN, or counterinsurgency warfare. Now we're going to more of a conventional battle called large scale combat operations, right? So we're going to be at more World War II kind of battles. And this is something that we Americans have really not experienced even before Vietnam, even since Korea, even World War II, where you're going to have these massive triple, quadruple digit casualties. So the world has really changed, and we have energized a whole legion of bad guys. And it's just, people need to really brace themselves for how the world has changed. And this would have happened with technology, but now they don't see us as the world leader or the great power that can stop them. All these bad guys have been energized, and that's going to play out through the generations, and it's going to affect us directly in the homeland, right? So the question is, what can we do it, people listening to their show? Okay. I'm a veteran. I've been in 38 years. I got 4 more to go before I reach the age of 60. And then the Army says, oh, you have to get out. You're too old there, Chief. So fine. So I am now the president of the San Bernardino County chapter of the California Republican Veterans Association. Okay. There are plenty of veteran service organizations out there that can hear, you can wear a hat, you can speak your mind, that's great. Okay. But this organization, it's about getting involved, because it's not just enough to wear a hat and make a complaint. That's not good enough. You have to get involved. And the way you get involved is being inside the political tent, not outside the political tent yelling in, right? So if you want to get involved, you want to help pick candidates, you want to fight for your cause.
Be a candidate.
Yeah, exactly. We need veterans to step up. And we've seen that on the national stage, but I have not seen it on the local stage.
Yeah, look at some of the best people we have right now, like Dan Crenshaw.
Absolutely.
The best people we have served, and they've been
Right.
in, a couple of the guys were Green Berets. I don't remember all their names offhand, but a lot of people that have been in those conflicts are now getting into Congress, and they are showing some rational thinking. And that's what's missing from Washington.
And we need these people on the local level. Yeah. We need these people to run for school boards. We need these people to run for city councils, to run for the water board. So the way you do that is not by just showing up and making a campaign speech. It's, you gotta work inside the tent. So I can help you as the president of the county chapter. So my email is johnrtpp@gmail.com. So that's like John, John, Redlands Tea Party Patriots @gmail.com. Go ahead, please send me an email. I get so many hundreds of emails a day, and I'll check my spam folder. Please put something in the title line, like in all caps Republican, so I can pull you out, because I was given the title a couple of years ago, but no data. So I'm really building it one email at a time. So the goal of this group is to get involved locally, so candidates call you and rely on you for advice. That's how you build access. That's how you build influence. So yeah, please send me an email. I need your name. I need your phone number. And you have to be a Republican and registered in San Bernardino County. If you're in a different county, go ahead and send me an email and I'll get it to the right person. So,
and while you're there, you can clean out some of those guys in the Republican Party at San Bernardino, kick them to the curb, right? You know,
well, the way you do it is by building influence,
kick them
right?
out.
You need guys like us to step up.
There's some shag boys that need to go shag. That's all there is to it. All right, folks. Hey, thank you for all that you do. John has been involved in the Redlands Tea Party for many, many, many years. It's a great organization locally. You hear Unite IE. Those are some of the other people that are on that. They're getting involved, and that's the thing. We can sit back and sit on our couch and, oh wow, point at this group, point at that group. Why isn't the NRA doing this? Why isn't California Rifle? That's bull, Pucky. All right. We don't need that. What we need is we need guys getting involved, and gals. I say that pejoratively. We need people getting involved. You know, GOYA, get off your couch and get in the fight, because this is our life. Here we are, September 11th, right? 20 years later, we just saw this disaster that just has happened. The 78 or 82 billion dollars of weapons that the Taliban has, and we've just armed an army that we will be fighting for the
20
next
seconds.
25 years. So get involved, folks. It's our life. You know, recall Gavin Newsom, go for Larry Elder. That's just this next Tuesday. And remember, on this 20th anniversary, can we make a change for California going forward? Yes. How do we do that? Tuesday. Get rid of Gavin Newsom. Hey, thanks my special guests, John Barry, Scott McAfee, and Barry White.
Barry White, Kenny White.
There you go. Folks, have a great weekend. God bless.
Does that work for you, Phil? All right.
No, I hope you get some contacts. You know, I mean, there's a lot of people listening to the show, and
yeah.
Have you started some of the some of the social media pages on that, and just run some ads on it to get?
Well, what happened just when we got started going, we were up to about 60 people, and then COVID hit, so we couldn't have any meetings, so there's nothing to invite them to. And then we had to shift locations. We had a problem with the hotel, long story short. But now,
do Zoom meetings, do them on Zoom. I mean, you got to stay on top of the people. So
right, and plus I was gone, to be straight up with you. And
right.
so now this is our chance to re-energize. So we got a meeting tonight, and then I've got 5 minutes on stage to talk about this, and I want to re-energize it, because even the Redlands Tea Party, since the election, we have added about 40 to 50 people, and it's now standing room only by 6 o'clock.
Yeah. Good luck getting a parking space.
Right. So, but I want to capitalize on that. And the goal is to get these guys, I hate to say it, veterans, sometimes they put on a hat and complain and that's it. No, you got to it's the inside the tent stuff. You got to campaign, you got to contribute. You got to
sell it like this. Like, hey, I want you to come inside the tent so we can clean out this freaking tent, because you know who I'm talking about at San Bernardino. That turd needs to go. He is absolutely terrible.
I'm standing in front of some of those turds while I'm saying that, so I got to be a little diplomatic. But
because look at it this way: look what the GOP is doing right now, and I'm talking this is one of the few times, because I don't deal with color. You know, I see all of you guys as my brothers, but this is one time that I'm a black man right now. I'm not happy about what happened to Larry Elder. I did his outbound security for him on Saturday. I made sure nobody touched him. You know what I'm saying? He ends up going to this other event. I'm not knocking the other security team, because he had different teams in each city.
Hey, that gal with the gorilla mask punched somebody and nobody punched her back.
Hey, the mask should come off.
Equal rights. I'd attack that chick.
The mask should have come off, because we don't know what was in that egg. We don't know what will be the subsequent damage to Larry Elder or someone else. At that point, she's no longer free to leave until we determine exactly who and what she is.
She hit somebody.
It was an assault, clear and simple. You know, what do they call it? So make a long story short, what I'm saying is this darn GOP of ours is really pissing me off. They didn't give Larry Elder any money, so he doesn't have the resources to get more security or even more ads. Every damn channel I look at has Gavin Newsom saying, "Don't let them do this to me." Shame on us. You know what I mean? That our message isn't right next to that. When his stupid commercial, or what's his name? What's that dude's name? Sanders? You guys know what I'm talking about. He ran for president.
Bernie Sanders.
Bernie Sanders. When you got Bernie Sanders stumping for a California president, and all we eating on our side is silence, something's wrong.
That's the problem with John. That's why I keep saying the California Republican Party and these county levels, they have got to clean. You've got to cut that dead wood, throw it in the fire, and start.
Somebody messing us up from inside the house.
So my goal is to get Dan Crenshaw
exactly who I'm talking about.
Right.
Those guys, and he's still there 20 years later. Kenny, I'm not a registered Republican. I don't know if you knew this or not.
Here you are. You're my Jedi trainer, and I didn't know that.
When I moved to my current location, I had to re-register. And so they asked party affiliation. I wrote down the Tar and Feather Party. I know there's two of us in there in the Tar and Feather Party out there, because that's the way I feel. It's like,
I want to join. Give me a ballot.
Come on in. These guys are skunks. They're in there destroying things. I watched the guys from Chino. I watched the guys from San Bernardino. These guys destroying Meg Whitman had 170 million bucks and she lost because these guys.
I was on a minority committee. I don't even get it. I don't get it.
It's on purpose.
What?
You have traitors in there that are not conservative. They're the country club, Koch brother type style. They're in there implanted on purpose to keep it from being effective.
See, that's how I feel about John Cox. That's why I launch off into him with both feet and hands. I do not like John Cox.
Nope.
As a person, I don't know him. But as a presence in our political body, get the out of here.
Well, look what he did last time. He fought like hell to beat Travis Allen, and then we never heard another word from him. And
he did the floppy Divock. He just you know. And watch this. Some of you guys know Jennifer Horn. I don't like mentioning it because I don't want to, cast a negative on her show because it's not her fault, right?
We are recording.
But she had John Cox on her show, and that man made one of the worst Freudian slips I've ever heard. He's sitting there talking to Jennifer Horn, right? And he says, and I quote, "When Gavin Newsom wins." That's what he said. I'm like, oh.
Well, he's been a plant for a while, and that's the whole problem is they don't get weeded out. They should be railroaded out. They should simply say, hey, this is what we stand for. Like the Republican Party, if you want to run as a Republican, we need to have a platform, okay?
Yeah.
So let's just say that these 10 things, okay, my notes, these 10 things are the Republican Party platform. If you want to run, if you want any money from us, you have to say, this is what I will vote yes on. This is what I will support. You sign that as a pledge. You sign another form that is your resignation form. And you say, and then you're sold, look, when you violate one of those 10, we'll date your resignation form for you. It has to have that kind of guts. Nancy Pelosi, the wicked witch of the West, she runs those Congress people with an iron fist.
She owns America. I mean, watch this.
The
Texans don't want to do a vote. They fly home to Mama in Washington and say, Mama, we don't want to vote in Texas.
And what do we get?
She had no business not coming back after Afghanistan. She should have convened the Congress right then and there.
And what is she? She gets no repercussions. We get Mitch Sponge Chin Square Pants McConnell, the worst leader of the Senate. He needs to go. I mean, these people, we have got to clean house. Time is short. Look what's going on. I'm going to ask you
a question. Do you really think this political process that's just got Swiss cheese holes all in it, do you really think this process is going to save us?
Well, I know we're going to see a buttload of fraud coming through the Gavin Newsom thing. I mean, print your own ballot on your home printer. Why don't we just go to a print shop and get
I look at it this way.
Of them printed?
And I hope we're not still recording or whatever, but this is just Kenny White's personal opinion, because I've been like a clarion prophet for the last 8 years trying to tell people what's going on. Then I try to tell them about Jimmy Kimmel, and Jimmy Kimmel comes in and says, "Let non-vaxxers die." He wasn't joking. They mean that. Like Jen Psaki. I said 8 years ago, you don't ever want this woman to have power. She's one of the most wicked human beings you ever want to meet. Now here she is, literally the mouthpiece for Washington. Yeah. I don't believe our political process is going to save us.
Well, there's a little bit of good news, right? That see,
John
it takes
is our
a while.
Eternal optimist. Go ahead, John.
I try to be. It's hard. I got a full cup of coffee here, but yeah, that's because I'm on a national call with Jenny Beth Martin each week, right? And you hear the various people pop up from all over the country, and one guy who was like a county chairman in Florida. He was saying, look, and we were talking about exactly this. And the rhinos, okay, the people who believe like the newly energized Trump people, right? You've heard of 9/11 Republicans where there's 2016 Trump, kind of the same. People who decided to get involved because of Trump. So this is boiling up from the base level. And so these people are taking more and more positions of power. And it's going to take a while so Trump getting in another 4 years, you're going to see these people rise to be party chairmen and delegates, and that's how it's going to take, because you just don't, it's not a cold coup you take over in one shot. You have to work from within, because that's just the way American parties are structured.
If we look up on the 20th of September and Gavin Newsom is still here, what do we get from that?
Right. If anybody... if Trump or anybody like him ever gets involved, if he doesn't go down through that State Department and everywhere else and clean house, he's an idiot.
Start all over.
I think Trump was a little too naive when he started picking people. I didn't think he quite realized, because he was such a dealer maker. Read his book, Art of the Deal. Great. It shows his whole mentality, how he got other people to work with him, is that he really believes in cutting deals. And that's,
because his Supreme Court choices have blown up in his face.
Yeah,
bad.
right. And he's, but I mean, that's the way how he approaches things. So he thought he could reach out and make a deal in business like he could in politics. But the thing is, he didn't have willing partners on the other side.
You like that
and I think he
backdrop,
kind of realized that. But Art of the Deal is a good book to read. It really lets you in on his mentality, how he thinks and approaches.
Got any last words?
No, I got to run some errands, but it was fun. Thanks for inviting me, gentlemen. Cool. Have a great rest of your day.
Last thing, are we getting a link to the show we can put on social media?
Gab.com/Firing Line Radio Show.
Gotcha.
All right.
Brothers,
Peace out, boys.
Thank you.
Buenos nachos.
But is
Everybody
Dan
take
going to
care.
send us a
I'll
link?
holler at you.
Is Dan going to send us a link to the show?
This recording part will be on gab.com/Firing Line.
This whole thing. Okay.
All of it.
All of it.
The uncut version. That's
Well,
right,
okay.
Kenny. You're in trouble.
Oh my God.
God bless, guys.
Okay, the last thing. So, but Dan, the one that's going to be aired on Friday, right? That's going to be a link from the station.
More like Saturday.
Saturday. Okay, so that's the one we can share on Facebook and.
Yeah,
If you want,
at firinglineradio.com.
Okay.
When he posts them, you can share right off of that. That's non-video, but it's all the podcast.
Radio.com.
Yeah, that
okay.
links to our podcast page. I'm sure
Exactly.
that's how they set it up.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. And then that's what I'll post on social media. So.
Post this one. This one's way more fun.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thanks. Thanks for the invite.
All right.
Appreciate
Thank you
it.
for your service, John.
Yeah. 3 more years to go before they kick me out. So.
Yeah,
little.
thank you, John.
Yeah. All right. Talk to you guys later.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.